The time is precisely 6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Delini Gunawardana and read by Ramesh Pires. First, the headlines. The Minister of Foreign Affairs says Sri Lanka is looking for ways to boost bilateral relations with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The Central Bank Governor states Sri Lanka is hoping to complete debt restructuring negotiations in the next 6 months. FAO and Australia fund school agriculture clubs to support nutritional security. The biggest biofertilizer factory in the island is declared open. The election committee seeks fund confirmation for local government poll. And in news overseas, suspect held after another California mass shooting. And in sports, it's tennis. Neil Skupski and Desiree Crochet beat Jamie Murray and Taylor Townsend in the Australian Open 2023. Now the local news in detail. Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri told Sri Lanka is looking for ways to boost bilateral relations with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia through connectivity, investments and employment opportunities. The minister, who is on an official visit to Saudi Arabia from January 23rd to the 27th, made this remark during an exclusive interview with Arab News. Recalling the cordial bilateral relations between Saudi Arabia and Sri Lanka, the minister said that Sri Lanka is hoping for further strengthening the ties by boosting connectivity, investments and employment opportunities. Improving the trade relations between the two nations will also be a focal point during his meeting with Saudi officials. He noted that boosting Sri Lanka-Saudi Arabia bilateral ties is a possible catalyst to wider, better relations with the Islamic world. Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said Sri Lanka is committed to meeting all its debt repayments and is hoping to complete debt restructuring negotiations in the next 6 months. He said there has been good progress this month, with India already pledging financial assurances, and assurances from China and Japan is anticipated soon. He made these remarks at the event of Economic Outlook 2023. Dr. Veerasinghe added that specific debt restructuring negotiations will be started with both commercial and bilateral lenders once the IMF program is unlocked. He noted that this process is expected to be completed in 6 months. But the biggest uncertainty is the time frame for the debt restructuring. It is only after debt sustainability is assured can Sri Lanka return to a sustainable growth path. Over 200 schools will receive funding from Australia via Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations to build entrepreneurial school gardens in the North, Central and Uva provinces to support nutritional security among children. The Entrepreneurial School Gardens program, implemented as part of a project funded by the Australian government totaling over $2.3 million, is aimed at improving the food and nutritional security of groups most affected by the ongoing economic crisis, particularly women and children. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, the newest factory of the Lanka Biofertilizer Company in Horana was declared open by the Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amaravira. This is the biggest biofertilizer factory in the island. The annual production of this factory is approximately 1 million litres of biofertilizer, which is eco-friendly. This biofertilizer could reduce usage of urea by 30%. Addressing the gathering, the minister said that the ministry has taken maximum measures to prevent the nematodes disease in the paddy cultivation. The National Election Commission has addressed a letter to the Finance Ministry requesting a clarification on whether funds can be provided for the local government election. The chairman of the National Election Commission in a letter had sought a clarification from the Treasury Secretary. The cost of the local government election is estimated at 10 billion rupees. The local government election 2023 will take place on the 9th of March as declared by the National Election Commission. A writ application has been filed with the Court of Appeal seeking an order rescinding the Cabinet Minister's directive to the Public Utilities Commission with regard to increasing the electricity tariffs. The Cabinet Ministers had earlier instructed the electricity sector regulator to work with the Ceylon Electricity Board to take necessary measures to increase the tariffs. The Electricity Consumers Association and the Centre for Environmental Justice had put forward the said writ application, naming the CEP, the Minister of Power and Energy, the PUCSL, the Attorney General and several others as its respondents. The writ application, recording the decision taken by the Cabinet Ministers to increase electricity tariffs, mentioned that the Public Utilities Commission has been directed to take joint measures with the CEB to implement the tariff hike. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Moving on to the main news story. The Committee on High Posts has approved the appointments of a new ambassador and a higher commissioner recently. Accordingly, approval was given for the appointment of Mrs. Chitrangikani Vagiswara and the new High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to the Commonwealth of Australia. The committee has also approved the appointment of M.N. Bandara as the Ambassador of Sri Lanka to the State of Israel. Committee approval was granted for the appointment of Mr. Gunadasa Samarasinghe as the Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture as well. And that came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
In Watchlight this evening, our Cabinet spokesperson announced that the daily power outages will be limited to 2 hours. Speaking at the media briefing to elaborate on Cabinet decisions, Minister Bandula Gunawardena noted that the 2-hour power outage will only take place after 4 p.m. during the period of the GCE Advanced Level Examination. He said this decision was taken considering the students sitting for the examination, adding that the 2-hour outage will take place in phases. And that came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news is next.
Coming up, World News.
Moving on to the bulletin of world news, first the headlines. Suspect held after another California mass shooting. Poland says Germany has received tank exports request. North Korea issues extreme cold weather alert. Now the world news in detail. The U.S. state of California is reeling from its second mass shooting in days after a man shot dead 7 former co-workers south of San Francisco. The attacks took place in the coastal city of Half Moon Bay. The victims were all Chinese-American farm workers. Suspect Zhao Chunele, age 67, was arrested after driving to a police station. It comes as the state mourns the death of 11 at Monterey Park, about 6 hours southeast of Half Moon Bay, during Lunar New Year celebrations. Germany has now received Poland's official request to re-export Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. The Polish defense minister has said. Ukraine wants the German-made Leopard 2, one of the most widely used Western tanks, to help it break through Russian lines and recapture territory this year. Germany, whose approval is required for re-exports for the Leopard, has held back until now. Berlin has said it is willing to act quickly if there is a consensus among its Western allies over sending battle tanks to Ukraine. North Korean authorities have warned of extreme weather conditions in the country as a cold wave sweeps the Korean peninsula. Temperatures are likely to dip below -30 degrees Celsius in the northern regions. Coastal areas are also expected to see high winds, according to state media. South Korea, too, has issued a cold wave warning, and northern China has been experiencing record low temperatures. Back to the headlines of the world news. Suspect held after another California mass shooting. Poland says Germany has received tank exports requests, and North Korea's extreme cold weather alert. And that concludes the World News.
Development News.
Moving on to development news. The Colombo Stock Exchange, CSE, and the CFA Society Sri Lanka wish to appoint financial literacy ambassadors from state universities in Sri Lanka and to conduct a training session on financial literacy for them on 26 January 2023 from 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the CSE Auditorium in Colombo. This is in line with the several initiatives that the CFA Society Sri Lanka and CSE recently forged to increase the level of financial literacy among the youth in the country. And that was development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
In sports, it's tennis. Neil Skupski came out on top in the mixed doubles battle of Britain's as he and American partner Desiree Crochet defeated Jamie Murray and Taylor Townsend to reach the Australian Open semi-finals. Skupski and Crochet came from a set down to beat Murray and Townsend, also American 4-6, 6-3, 10-5 in Melbourne. They will face Indian pair Sania Mirza and Rohana Bapuna in the last four. In other sports news, World Athletics has proposed continuing to allow transgender women to compete in female international track and field events. In a statement, it said it preferred the option was to tighten the sport's eligibility rules but still use testosterone limits as the basis for inclusion. A policy document suggesting the amendments has been sent to World Athletics member federations as part of a consultation process before a vote in March. And that came to you in sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Aitken Spence plc was crowned the Sector Award winner in the Diversified Holdings category and the winner of Demonstrated Resilient Practices for COVID-19 context. The company won the most number of awards at the Best Corporate Citizen Sustainability Awards 2022, held annually organized by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. Moreover, Aitken Spence is the only company to be the 10 Best Corporate Citizen for the 17th consecutive time. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Economic news, courtesy of... For the 5th consecutive year, LOLC is awarded People's Financial Services Brand of the Year at the 2022 Slim Kantar People's Awards. As the People's Financial Services Brand of the Year, LOLC continues to place the customer first. And this has won the hearts, minds and trust of Sri Lankans, with yet another prestigious award as proof of this lasting commitment. LOLC. Imagine the possibilities.
In economic news, the tourist arrivals to Sri Lanka in the first 3 weeks of January have topped 70,000, indicating country's tourism industry is firmly on the recovery path. The provisional data from the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority showed that for the January 1st to 22nd period, a total of 72,002 international visitors had entered the country. Compared with the corresponding period in 2022, the tourist arrivals have expanded by nearly 23%. From January 1st to the 22nd, 2022, Sri Lanka welcomed a total of 58,548 visitors. The Russian Federation, India and Germany were the leading contributing countries for these tourist arrivals. And that was the economic news. The weather report is next.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
Weather Report.
And finally, moving on to the weather report, showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and in the Kandy and Mathura districts during the afternoon and at night. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, are likely at some places. A few showers may occur in the eastern and Uva provinces and in the Hambantota district during the morning. And that was the weather report. And now to conclude this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. The Minister of Foreign Affairs says Sri Lanka is looking for ways to boost bilateral relations with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The Central Bank Governor states Sri Lanka is hoping to complete debt restructuring negotiations in the next 6 months. FAO and Australia fund school agriculture clubs to support nutritional security. The biggest biofertilizer factory in the island is declared open. The Election Committee seeks fund confirmation for local government poll. In news overseas, suspect held after another California mass shooting. In sports, it's tennis. Neil Skupski and Desiree Krochek beat Jamie Murray and Taylor Townsend in the Australian Open 2023. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.